been 1 week since the return of CM Punk, and it still feels a little bit surreal, just kind of considering how long he's been gone from the WWE. I mean, the man was gone for nearly 10 years. 10 years from WWE programming. I mean, he's been gone for so long that so many things have changed in the WWE. In fact, the entire landscape of the WWE is nowhere the same that it used to be when CM Punk was around. So I decided to make this video for you, CM Punk, because you've missed a lot, and I'm going to help you catch up. So here are the things that you've missed over the nearly 10 years that you've been gone from the WWE. Hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. I'm still on my tour of the world on vacation. My hotel room is a bit of a mess. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I recorded this because I'm running out of videos, but I wanted to make sure that we still got daily uploads for you. That's how serious we are about daily uploads here. So I'm in a hotel room without my proper setup, with some dog crap lighting, with a crappy mic, but hey, we're still doing daily videos, baby. So the year is 2014, and you, CM Punk, you have decided to leave the company. You had your reasons, and you made a splash when you left, and you made it so that it was very difficult to bring you back. You really didn't just burn bridges, you really went nuclear with them. And hey, to be fair, the WWE is a bit at fault here as well, considering they fired you on your wedding day. That's pretty messed up. But yes, good old Phil Brooks here, CM Punk, decides to walk out of the WWE right after the 2014 Royal Rumble. So what happened immediately after CM Punk left in 2014? Well, the biggest thing is, of course, the Miracle on Bourbon Street. The Miracle on Bourbon Street being one of the biggest moments in WWE history that crowned one of the hardest workers in the ring, on the microphone, character work in the history of the early 2010s, that being Daniel Bryan. And one can't help but maybe think that that spot maybe could have been CM Punk's. Not necessarily that year's, but CM Punk really was the hard worker in the ring, on the microphone, with his character work, and he never got this opportunity that Daniel Bryan did. So I don't know, man. Punk, were you watching at home maybe a little bit upset that this happened without you? So in that very same WrestleMania, CM Punk missed The Undertaker's unbeaten WrestleMania streak being broken by none other than Brock Lesnar. So yeah, this is a bit of a major monumental moment in professional wrestling history that you, CM Punk, missed. The other one was the release of the WWE Network. Shortly after CM Punk left the WWE would launch the WWE Network, which would change the landscape of how we consume professional wrestling. No longer were we paying $70 to $80 for a WWE pay-per-view. Now we were watching premium live events for the small price of $9.99, a price that they really drilled down on us in WWE television every single day. They would say $9.99. The huge faction that CM Punk was partly responsible for creating and bringing up into the WWE main roster, The Shield, broke up and imploded, creating three major superstars that would pave the way for WWE and professional wrestling as a whole over the next 10 years. This little unknown guy from the independent circuit, Punk, you might recognize him, his name is Sting, finally made his WWE debut. And now it's the year 2015. And luckily, Punk, you missed this era, because this wasn't that good. And one of the things that made this era of wrestling not so good was the force feeding of Roman Reigns as the top guy in the WWE. And knowing you, Punk, this would have pissed you right off. And on top of that, it gave us one of the worst Royal Rumbles in WWE history. A Royal Rumble so bad that not even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could save it. And that guy that loves you so much would then go on to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase in one of the greatest cash-ins of all time. Arguably better than any of the cash-ins that you did, Punk. It's too bad that you missed this too. The Divas Revolution, the era where WWE fans started demanding and clamoring for better, more quality women's wrestling, as opposed to it just being a sideshow for 2 minutes for people to have a time to go to the bathroom. And it's a shame that for this era, we didn't get to have AJ Lee. That would have been amazing. Now it's the year 2016, and hell froze over because WWE finally got their hands on AJ Styles, a guy that WWE fans have been clamoring for the better part of a decade, a guy who had just been absolutely putting on match of the year after match of the year, banger after banger in TNA, in Ring of Honor, in New Japan, and for some reason just never got his opportunity to do the same thing in the WWE. Would have been awesome to see CM Punk, you Punk, versus AJ Styles. And one of the things that your wife really worked towards dismantling, the divas in general, was finally dismantled. The work of AJ Lee, the work that she put down, the foundation that she laid, was finally culminated at WrestleMania 32 as the Divas Championship was tossed in the trash in exchange for the true WWE Women's Championship. Goldberg returned. Punk, I know you love guys like Goldberg, just really big, powerful, strong, loud dudes that don't know how to wrestle. I know you love those guys. He came back. At this time, NXT became one of the hottest products in professional wrestling, arguably the best professional wrestling show on the planet at the time. It was just so good. And from time to time, we would have WWE superstars go down to NXT and have small programs. Punk, it would have been awesome to see you on NXT even for a program or two. And now it's the year 2017, and believe it or not, hell has frozen over yet again because the Hardy Boys finally came back to the WWE. Of course, everybody loved Jeff Hardy, but at this time, Matt Hardy was actually one of the hottest products in professional wrestling with his broken Matt Hardy gimmick in TNA, and finally we had him in the WWE. And Punk, I know you had an amazing program with Jeff Hardy. Would have been cool to have you around for Jeff's return. Now, we did have the return of Kurt Angle in 2017. Now, mind you, it wasn't the Kurt Angle that we all knew and loved, because this was a Kurt Angle towards the end of his career, a guy who could barely turn his neck at this point, but still, it was one of WWE's OG homeboys finally returning to the WWE after 10 years of being gone. Hey, Punk, does that sound familiar? I know you always love playing second fiddle to John Cena, but just so you know, while you were gone, John Cena won his 16th world title, tying Ric Flair for the most world titles in wrestling history. Maybe one day, fingers crossed, that 16 will turn to 17 because god damn it, John Cena deserves it. This is not a John Cena video. I told myself I wasn't going to turn this into a John Cena video. I do this every time, but god damn it, I love John Cena. Uncle, you were gone. Jinder Mahal became WWE champion. I'm not trolling you. This is something that legitimately happened in the WWE. Oh, he wasn't champion for a day, for a week. He was champion for like over half a year. We had Jinder Mahal as champion, dude. Now we're on to the year 2018. And Punk, one of those guys that came up and became a superstar because of the Shield, at this point was the top dog in the WWE and was the biggest bona fide babyface in the company. Now, unfortunately, he had to step out of the WWE and almost retire entirely because he had leukemia that had resurfaced again. And this was almost such a crucial, pivotal moment in the WWE because we could have lost what is today the biggest star and the biggest draw in all professional wrestling in Roman Reigns. You also missed the rise of the man Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, a female who became not just the most popular female WWE superstar, but the most popular wrestler on the planet over the men. And again, I think that this is something that AJ Lee really set the foundation for, and the women after AJ Lee really took the ball and ran with it. Sticking with the women, we also had the very first Women's Royal Rumble while you were gone, CM Punk. And no longer were Brock Lesnar and you the only super successful UFC stars. Just kidding. We also now got Ronda Rousey in the WWE. You missed Ronda Rousey joining the WWE and catapulting herself as being one of the scariest, most badass, legitimate women in the WWE, probably in WWE history. Now, I know a lot of us don't like Ronda Rousey anymore. I like Ronda Rousey. I don't know why the hate all of a sudden started, but this was a huge deal, and I think we can all admit that. Now it's 2019, and admittedly, this is one of the worst years in professional wrestling history, so Punk, you probably dodged the bullet not being in the WWE at this time. But one of the major highlights, again, just really spearheading on what the women were doing the previous year, the women got to main event WrestleMania, the biggest WrestleMania up until that moment, a 7.5 hour WrestleMania, mind you. A WrestleMania so damn long that it forced WrestleMania to become 2 nights. But this is a monumental moment in the progression of women's wrestling as a whole. This is a key monumental moment that you missed within the WWE, Punk. This one would come back to bite you in the ass, Punk, but we also had the formation of AEW, All Elite Wrestling, the company that would bring your ass out of retirement. Now, I know that this is a WWE list, but hey, this is the biggest competitor that the WWE has had since WCW. This is a major marquee moment in WWE history as well, because I don't know, man, I'm just saying, WWE is as good as it's ever been, and I think it's because of the competition that AEW has put in front of it. I don't know that this is necessarily a marquee moment, but for me, it's a mark out moment. One of the coolest characters in WWE history debuted in 2019, and I got to see it live at SummerSlam 2019 in Toronto, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And now it's 2020, and things are going to be a little bit crazy from here. Because somehow, the guy that retired before you, the guy who was told if he wrestled ever again, he could potentially die, he came back to the WWE before you did at the Royal Rumble in 2020, that being, of course, Edge. Edge, which, in my opinion, before your return at Survivor Series this year, Punk, had the greatest return in WWE history because I didn't see this coming. I didn't read any sort of dirt sheets or anything like that. It was just a true, proper surprise and a true, genuinely happy moment for wrestling fans to see Edge back in the WWE. We also had the pandemic in 2020 that not only turned the world upside down, forced wrestling to get creative. And one of the things that they had to do was make WrestleMania, the first ever two-night WrestleMania, an empty arena event, because the event took place shortly after the pandemic really took place. And we would have empty arenas for a while, but again, WWE's creativity, you know how it is, Punk, man. The show must go on. One of the things that they did was they brought together what they called the Thunderdome, which was an arena full of TV screens with fans' faces on it. I mean, it didn't really do the job of giving us the fan experience, but still, it was something during a time where we really just needed something to get us through. And it also forced WWE to get super creative, not just with how they're putting on their shows, but it also allowed WWE to get really creative with the matches that they were putting on. It would have been kind of cool to see you in one of these cinematic matches, because we had crazy cinematic matches like the Firefly Funhouse between Cena and Bray Wyatt, the Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. We had the admittedly not so good Bray Wyatt Swamp match between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. Not to mention the absolutely bananas Money in the Bank that we had. Look, this Money in the Bank, weirdly forgotten, but this is one of the coolest things that the WWE has done. Is it as good as a traditional ladder match? No, it's not. But at the very least, it was just such a cool, unique thing that the WWE tried. Is it something that I want to see again? Probably not, but it was a cool individual moment in time that I think is worth going back to. If you can believe it or not, this perennial babyface, the guy that they were making the next face of the WWE, they did something that they never did with Cena. They turned him heel. We had evil, dastardly head of the table Roman Reigns. 2021 ended up being a huge year for you, Punk, and we'll get to that in just a second, but it's also a big deal for fans because 2021 was really the return of fans after an entire year of not having fans in the WWE. The big marquee show for this was WrestleMania 37, which wasn't a full capacity stadium, but it was the return of the signs of life of the WWE universe. At that very same WrestleMania, it was also the debut of Bad Bunny, and you might be looking at this thinking that this is stupid because you probably saw a ton of celebrity involvements that you thought were dumb, but trust me, you're gonna like this one. This one's good. You might even want to work with him in the future. Here's another one that you probably would have hated at the moment, but we also had the debut of Logan Paul. He wouldn't end up having a match just yet, but this ended up being a pretty important moment because it really told us that Logan Paul really understood this business in terms of character work and just kind of just being a presence. So Logan Paul would also go on to do big things just like Bad Bunny. Also, wouldn't mind seeing you go against Logan Paul. But really what marked the true healing of the WWE post the pandemic era was the return of course, John Cena. We had the return of Brock Lesnar, but most importantly, we had the full-time return of fans in arenas. We also had your return to wrestling, not to the WWE, as you returned to wrestling to wrestle for AEW, and that didn't really turn out very well for you. I mean, I liked your run in AEW when you were there, when you weren't fired, when you weren't suspended, but you're probably not looking back on this time too fondly, are you? We're almost done here, Punk. The year is 2022. You missed the return of the guy that you wanted a WrestleMania match, so it could happen in Stone Cold Steve Austin, who broke a nearly 20-year retirement to have a match at WrestleMania 38 versus Kevin Owens. So I'm just saying, maybe finally we can get that Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin match that we were clamoring for in the early 2010s. One of the guys that was your boss over in AEW, well, he realized how much of a shit show AEW was, and he left and jumped ship to the WWE. That being, of course, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, who you're probably going to have a few matches and a few feuds with here over the next couple of years. We also had the development of arguably, I would say, the greatest WWE storyline of all time in the Bloodline storyline. A storyline that maybe perhaps you're going to get inserted to if you end up having to go against Roman Reigns. Oh, and I know you're celebrating this one, but we also in 2022 had the retirement of Vince McMahon, the guy that you so desperately hated, the guy that fired you on your wedding day. Yeah, he's gone. Not like fully gone yet. This was kind of like a courtesy retirement after he got caught with all of these like sexual allegations, things, paying money to women for, I don't know, sexual favors or whatever it might be. Allegations, I don't know what they are. I don't want to get sued. I'm just saying allegations, allegations, allegations. But either way, he retired from the WWE. And now it's the year 2023. And I think that this is going to end up being your favorite year so far, because this is the year that the WWE that you knew, the WWE that you seemed to hate, was no more, because the WWE was bought out by the parent company of the UFC, Endeavor, and now UFC has merged with the WWE to create TKO. And the foundation of the WWE has entirely changed because TKO completely ousted Vince McMahon from any sort of authority in the WWE. He won't be making any decisions. He barely holds any power. He doesn't have anywhere near as much stock as he used to have. Punk, you're basically free of Vince McMahon here. And coincidentally, this also happens to be the year that you return. Funny how that works, right? The guy that you so desperately hate finally leaves, gets ousted, and you finally come back to the WWE after nearly 10 years. Well, hopefully that caught you up on everything that you've missed. Thank you very much for watching this, CM Punk. And if you were not CM Punk and you watched this, well, okay, whatever. You watch this. Okay, I'm done. Get out of here.